Hi everyone, and welcome to our fourth Leader to Leader webinar. Tonight we're going to be talking about cookie sale advice and life skills for girls. Before we start tonight, I just want to say that we're going to do something a little different today, and we're going to try and make it a little more interactive. So if you have a question, you can type your name in the question box on the right-hand side on your toolbar. And I'll try to unmute you, and you can actually talk and speak your question, and hopefully that'll work. If you don't want to speak, you can still just write your question in the question box, and I'll ask the presenters for you. So if you don't have that capability on your laptop, you could always call in through your phone. If you click on the audio section of your toolbar, there's an option for that as well. And you can call in that number. So tonight on the panel we have myself, Melissa Ilias, the Program Coordinator for Service Unit and Troop Support. We have Augustin Lopez, the Director of Membership Support for Regions 2 and 3. We have Kari Kaplan, the Director of Membership Support for Regions 1 and 4. And we have two volunteers who have agreed to come on and share their knowledge with all of you, Ellen Schmidt and Amy Viger. So before we start, this is our upcoming Leader to Leader schedule. Well, today is December 19th, but our next Leader to Leader webinar will be on January 9th, and we will be discussing challenging adult behavior and conflict resolution within the troop. On February 13th, we will be talking about awards and money earning activities. On March 20th, we're covering STEM and other activities and ceremony planning. On April 17th, we're talking about keeping girls motivated and older girl activities. And on May 15th, we've decided that one of our topics will be girls with special needs, but our second topic is still to be decided. So if you guys have any ideas, we'd love to hear from you on suggestions about that. So our first presenter tonight is Amy Viger, and she's going to be discussing cookie sale advice. She is a proud mom. She manages a Bath and Body Works, which can be stressful. She is a Girl Scout troop leader, and she was a Girl Scout as a girl and is now paying it forward and being a troop leader. And she is the product sales manager for the Merit and Service Unit. So Amy, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Do I have to be on the video? I don't know.
No, you don't have to.
Okay. All right. So, welcome everybody. I just wanted to talk to you guys about goal setting and things to do with cookies. It's a lot when the girls are trying to sell cookies, especially if they're brand new to Girl Scouts. But we welcome every girl, to try to sell cookies because it's going to help them with getting things that they want to get done with their troop, as far as activities, or not having to pay dues, that kind of stuff. So I always talk to my girls about setting a goal. And I know that a lot of our girls look at the back of the pamphlet and go, oh my goodness, I want 1,600 boxes because I want the top prize. And most of us are going, oh my goodness, I really can't get that many cookies sold for my child. But in the long run, you want to be able to support them, and you want to be able to have them reach for the stars, but then also kind of guide them to set an achievable backup where you can actually encourage them, to get that. So like for my daughter, she's in the junior troop that I run, and she always says she wants 1,600 boxes. Now, she's done it, but at the same time, I always ask her to do a backup just in case she doesn't reach that. And then we utilize like the cookie booths and everything else as our troop to get any extra cookies that we can to help them achieve their goals. But another thing that I found that was very, very helpful as I went along was using last year's list, if you have one, because then you can revisit those customers for repeat business. Now, as the girls are actually learning and selling their Girl Scout cookies, they're learning life skills. So they're going to learn, the goal setting, the decision making, money management, people skills, and business ethics. I mean, this is the like a woman's, like based, selling activity, and it's the one that the girls use as a foundation to be able to become more confident in what they're doing in the long run. And honestly, I've seen my girls grow so much in just a short amount of time with just selling cookies on its own. You can go to the next slide because I don't know if you're hitting that. Okay, thank you. Another avenue that we have besides the paper form is the digital cookie. Now, a lot of us are not, like prone to wanting to put our child on the computer, but this is something that is going to be able to like catalyst their, selling opportunities as a whole. Because you have that family member that's not around you. They may be in California, or maybe you have someone that doesn't have time to actually get out to where you're going to be, but would love to order cookies to help support your child. This is where you're going to be able to go and set up your web page. If the girl is under 13, then the parent has to be 100% involved in it. Otherwise, like the parent can set it up and they can do a little bit more on their own. But for my daughter, I mean, obviously she's under that age, so we work on it together. There is a pledge that the girls are asked to sign that you are also acknowledging, making sure that they're being safe on here and that they're abiding by all of the rules. But you can personalize it to let the customers know who's officially selling. So they're going to see your daughter's picture on here, or they can post a video, or post one of the ones that are given to you by Girl Scouts. And then on here, they can send out as many emails as they want. And we always encourage you to send multiple emails out because you never know who you're going to be able to capture for a sale. Like some people are like, oh, I'm not really interested, and then all of a sudden they get that cookie craving and they're going to be buying from you. Or they can even donate just strictly for Cookies for Heroes through the digital cookie page, which again helps the troop as a whole. And we always want to support our troops because they're giving so much to our country. And we're going to talk about that, I think, on the next slide. Yes. So our Cookies for Heroes program is reaching out where we take either donations towards getting cookies for our program, or they can opt to, donate the full, now $5 a box for the Cookies for Heroes program. So what happened is we actually get the money together, and depending on how many boxes of cookies you're able to earn, those cookies are given out from council. So they'll gather everything together. So let's say like your troop sells 200 boxes for Cookies for Heroes. Those cookies are then distributed out to our veterans in our community and out to the servicemen and women that are overseas that are helping support and fight for our country. And who wouldn't want to give something back for somebody who's giving so much of their time and their life for us to be safe in our own like country itself. But they do get to see everything. I've met so many actual men and women during my time being a leader that have actually thanked us while they were overseas receiving their cookies. And you can actually go to the Cookies for Heroes webpage and see how many boxes have been donated as they're going. So if you have people that are coming up to you going, yeah, you're not really doing anything for anyone, they can actually see it for themselves. And then the girls actually have a way of being able to send out letters to say things to the heroes themselves so that they can get a letter along with their cookies, which is another great way to show your love for our troops. And then the next one, I have some points about safety. Yeah, so making sure that you're following the guidelines for safety. It's always, like fun to go out and do door-to-door, but you never want to go out by yourself, and you never want to have your child talking to someone they don't know, especially with dealing with the internet. The digital cookie, when you're going in there and a person opts to say that they want to have the cookies delivered to your by your child, you have to approve those and say that it's okay for your daughter to go up to that person and bring them their cookies. That's one way that we keep your child safe, because we don't want them delivering to anyone that you don't know and that they don't know. And then going door to door, they should never be walking inside anybody's house at all. They stay outside the house. They ask if they want to order the cookies. You're with them, or some adult is with them, or they can do the buddy-buddy system in the older troops with another girl. But again, it's always, safety in numbers, and then don't walk around with large sums of money. You don't want anybody coming after anyone, I mean, safety is always the main concern here. So if you gone out and you collected some money, maybe make a stop real quick, drop it off, and then come back out again. But all in all, it's all about having fun and trying to reach our goals and trying to get everybody to have a nice full tummy of cookies. So again, you're having fun. It's our 100th year this year. Oh my goodness, I can't believe 100 years. So let's celebrate it by sharing our cookies with the world. So sell, 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 and reach our goals.
Yay, thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Just before we continue, I have a comment that someone can't see the slides. Can everyone else see the slides?
I see them.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not having technical difficulties. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Amy before we move on?
I do. This is Ellen talking.
Oh, hi, Ellen.
Hi. I just have a quick question. I was interested about the Cookie for Hero website. Do you actually have like the actual website, or is there a link on the Girl Scout website? Or I'm just very curious on that.
So I found it on the Girl Scout webpage last year, but it's, let me just see if I can pull it up real quick. It is, if I may remember correctly, it's just Cookies for Heroes itself. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick here.
Okay.
Because it was coming from Cookies for Heroes, Girl Scouts, and yeah, so you can go to, it's on the Girl Scout webpage, so if you go to gsfct.org, under, the Cookies for Heroes tab, it actually tells you that if you want to check and see, you can go to cookiesforheroes.com.
Okay.
And you can send a cookie email message that will be sent with your cookies.
Okay,
and it
great.
actually has a truck on the top. At least last year it did. It had a truck that showed exactly how many cookies were being filled in on the truck, so that way we knew how much we were getting close to our goal.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else? Oh.
It's Kari. I just wanted to add that not all the links on that page might be live at the moment until the cookie sale really begins. So yes, Amy's right. That's exactly where it is on our webpage, and you'll be able to see it there. But that information, I'm sure, will change as we move into the cookie sale beginning in January. So just wanted to let everybody know.
Thanks, Kari. Does anybody else have any questions right now? Does anyone want to be unmuted to ask a question? If you do, you can just put your name in the comment section and I can unmute you.
I'd like to ask Amy, it's Kari again. Amy, would you share some of the actual information that you and your daughter work and put on her digital page? What does she put up there? Troop activities, what her goal is, what you're going to do with the proceeds from the cookie sale? Can you just share some of the things that you work with her to put up on your digital page or her digital page?
Sure. So my daughter Talia is very active in her own webpage. She wants to make sure that she has, most of the control as to what information is going to be on there. I let her put, her own goal that she set. So like when she does the 1,600 boxes, she can put that on there because I'd love to see how far she can go with it. And then she actually picks like her own picture. She's viewed every single video that's ever come out in every one of the digital cookies that have been out in the last 2 years, I believe now it's been. And she picks like what message goes out because they get to select a couple of different frames to go through as far as like what's going to go on the email to the customer that's receiving it and the background picture and stuff. But then on top of that, she does put down what we're doing for the year. So, we're working on our Bronze Award this year, so we're going to be trying to get a lot of money proceeds to help support what the girls want to do as far as getting the community more involved with children activities, including like childhood cancer. So that's going to be her focus this year. But she also makes sure that she puts down what she likes doing. So she says that, you know, like how she enjoys getting to get more of the girls to join our troop and not have to pay dues or any of their membership fees, because I've been able to run my troop and not have any of my girls pay for any of their membership fees at all, based on the profits that we've earned with our troop selling Girl Scout cookies.
That's great. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
All right. If anybody else has any other questions for Amy, you can either type them in the question box or you can type your name and I can unmute you. But I think we'll move on to the next slides and then maybe go back if anyone has a question later on. So our next presenter tonight is Ellen Schmidt. She lives in Stratford. She's a full-time mom and she works part-time as a patient care assistant. She also works during the summer at Camp Katoya, which is our summer camp in Milford. She was a Girl Scout as a child, and now she has 3 daughters in Girl Scouting. One's a Brownie, one's a junior, and one's a cadet. And she helps co-lead all 3 of those troops, and she's the Barnum Service Unit QSP manager. So whenever you're ready, Ellen.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. After really getting involved with the troops and working with the leaders, the one thing that we agreed on is that the girls needed some life skills. Of course, many of the badges in the way of the Girl Scouts have them experience these life skills, but I never realized how deeper it went until I started working at camp. And the girls, this includes the older ones, had no idea how to do simple everyday things. Helping with the cooking sessions, girls had no idea how to use a knife, how to peel a potato. I even had a 14-year-old girl tell me that this was the first time she even cut up vegetables. Another girl had no idea how to even use a can opener. I couldn't believe it. So both at camp and with my troops, I have worked along with the leaders to teach the girls these skills, showing them how to cut with a knife, use a can opener, using a peeler for vegetables. We'd even started showing them how to read a recipe and how to figure out measurements. They cooked over a stove, over a fire. We had them make a crumb cake in a Dutch oven that was just absolutely outstanding. When we do our campouts, whether it's indoor or outdoor, weather permitting, we give them also jobs when we're doing, these campouts. Who will cook the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner, who will clean the dishes, who will set up for the meal. It shows them responsibility, decision-making, and independence. These things are some life skills they'll need to survive in the future. The girls love it, and it makes them feel important, which they are. We've also taught the girls some simple sewing. They've sewed their patches on their vest. They've done buttons on shirts, among other various simple sewing techniques. And again, this is a skill they should have. There's among other things that we've taught them, just to, like, everyday things, just to be able to function in the real world, pretty much. It was surprising some girls do not have that exposure. For the future, this is my next slide, yeah.
Okay.
We plan on working with them how to work on a car, actually. Simple things like changing the oil, changing a flat tire, recognizing when a tire is low in air, and how to fill the tire with air, the air pressure that is needed for the tire. We want to teach them how to check if fluids are low, especially before a long trip somewhere. I'm hoping that this is some type of lifelong skill that they can learn for the future, so when they get to the point when they are driving and stuff, they're not getting stuck somewhere. I want them to have that teaching about cars to help them be independent and feel confident that they can do these things. I do not, again, want them to be stranded somewhere on the road, be put in a bad situation, and have to be dependent on someone else. I feel it's important that they learn these simple skills of how the cars run and how to fix it if need be. Again, my purpose is to teach them these skills, to make them confident and an independent individual, and I want them to feel that they can learn and do things and be successful at it.
Nice.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ellen. We actually have a question for you. At what age
Sure.
would you recommend is appropriate, or at what age did you begin teaching cooking skills, knife skills, recipe following, etc.?
Well, actually, some of my second year brownies, we started showing them a lot of that. We had them, you know, of course we had supervision with them with everything. We did all the things with, you know, the Girl Scout way of handling the knives. But yeah, I would say second year brownie, we started to show them all these cooking techniques and how to do all these things with the knives and cutting. They really, surprisingly, and not really surprisingly, really learned from it. They love it, and you have to see them now. I mean, they can go together and help us with the fire. They gather the wood for us. I mean, they really love that responsibility.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, okay. Hold on. Yes. Someone is making a comment that their girls are daisies and they want to do this stuff now.
Hey, Melissa, this is Linda. I was just going to answer that. I mean, after teaching kindergarten for 13 years, we cooked in my class all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when though I didn't have a daisy troop, I had brownies. But in small groups, even daisies can do it. There are certain things that you just prep stuff for them, right? Instead of cutting a round potato, you cut it in half so they can, and you show them how to put the flat side down. And you might cut the potato into smaller pieces so that they're then dicing it, right? So that their knife doesn't have to go through it so well. And not using a plastic knife. Use a real knife instead of a plastic knife, because plastic knives make really bad cuts. You know, and you're more likely to cut yourself by using a plastic knife than using a real knife. Believe it or not, because it's not meant for the job. So yeah, I think daisies can definitely do it. You know, it's really fun to ask kids at any age, but especially kindergartners, you know, something simple like, how do you think you make applesauce, right? And then all the girls could tell you what they think is going to happen, what you have to do. You know, you could try some of them. If you just say, oh, you just smash the apple without even cooking it, then they're going to learn that doesn't work, which is okay. You know, it's a great science experiment. Or you pull out the applesauce recipe and you make it with them. So you just pick and choose what you're going to do with them. But they're definitely, I agree, brownies can do a lot more, but daisies can start too.
Oh yeah, I agree too. I think definitely, especially if it's a small group, I think they can definitely do it. And also the knife, as long as it's sharp, it's better.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah, don't be afraid of it. It's
yes.
Just teach them how to use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of them are really afraid of knives. Like I said, the one girl never even used one. So I think, you know, giving them that confidence to be able to use one, it really helps them in so many ways. You don't even realize at that time.
Oh, yeah. And how many girls have you had that have never lit a match, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and to show them that, like, safety matches are called safety matches for a reason. Like, show them how to hold it with the flame going up, and that the flame will go out by itself because it's a safety match, and it won't burn all the way down if you hold it at the very bottom, you know.
Yes.
So.
In the beginning, too, the girls were very afraid of striking that match and putting it in. They were terrified, and now they're like pros. Yeah, you have to see them.
They strike it, and then you can't see me, but they strike it, and then they put their hands up. Oh no, you know.
Yes.
So, but you're right. It gives them such confidence.
Yes, it does.
And if anybody was thinking, oh, you know, cooking and sewing, it's such stereotypical girl things. You know, I have a husband who grew up. His father was ill when he was a young teen, and his mom was caring for him. So he learned how to cook because he was the one who had to do it for the family. And you know, going off to college, my daughter made money, like knowing how, because she could sew buttons and she could hem pants and do repairs. So it's for anybody. It's just a life skill. Everybody should know how to take care of themselves.
Of course, of course.
Hi, it's Kari. I just want to jump in and say sometimes the adults are the ones that are nervous about having girls work with food or cooking, and so starting with daisies and just doing a measuring activity to watch and see how the daisies are following directions and how they're able to accomplish that. So making something like gorp or trail milks. Sometimes we'll even let the adults, because oftentimes the girls are good at following directions, but it's the adults that aren't always confident in their abilities. So I think sometimes if we start with something that's really simple, as Linda said, you know, doing the bulk cutting and letting them do finer things, and to see how they pay attention and this is something that they want to learn, then I think the adults will be confident that they can accomplish that too. And the reason I add that is sometimes we have parents that are very anxious about their girls experiencing these things, and so as adults sometimes, you know, it takes us a while to be confident with the girls, but even as daisies, they're interested, they're, you know, good listeners, they can follow directions, they have a sense about safety that the adult is imparting. So, you know, you can start with something little. The other thing I want to add is that it used to be, my oldest daughter is 25, that they cooked in kindergarten. They made baked apples, they cored apples and made baked apples. Those kinds of things, those experiences in school are fading away because there's such an academic pressure for teachers that they're not getting the opportunity to do some of these things even when they're young. So I can't stress enough, Ellen's right, Linda's right, this is really an opportunity for us to be able to share with our young girls and give them that confidence that they can follow a recipe, that they're able to do these skills. So I just think it's great that we can, in Girl Scouts, sort of fill that void that's being left because kids, whether boys or girls, are not having those opportunities in the elementary school setting any longer, like they once were. So just wanted to add that.
So I was thinking,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, even in high school, they've taken out most of like home ec and all that stuff. They're not even learning it there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was thinking a couple of things that it's you know, Kari, you're saying that some parents are, you know, nervous about kids having trying new experiences like, oh, changing a tire, or oh no, what's going to happen, or using a knife. But when we look at what people want from Girl Scouts for their girls, parents you know, one of the things that they overall say is that they want new experiences for their girls, right? And they want a little bit of a challenge. So that's right up, you know, a life skill like that is definitely right in that alley. The other thing is, when we're talking about food, what a great way to naturally bring in, you know, food is a great way to bring people together and teamwork. It's a great team builder, and it's also a great way to introduce inclusion, because if you're talking about food, you probably are going to have to talk about allergies, and that's something that, you know, it's a great natural way to bring it up, that some people have, you know, restrictions, or they might have dietary restrictions based on their beliefs, right? And so that's your life, rather than a separate side discussion. So, now I'll be quiet.
No, it's Kari again. I'm going to jump in there and say my oldest daughter, Hannah, when they were in 4th grade, they put together a cookbook. All of the families were asked to donate a recipe that was important to their family, either something from a tradition that they had, so whether it was a holiday food item, but that's something that would be easy for, you know, would also be feasible to make. And then they, as a troop, went through and cooked each one of the recipes, and the one girl was the lead and invited in a parent to come so that the whole troop cooked that. And then they would end the year always by making, well, it was usually spaghetti, but the girls made a dinner for all of the families. And you know, the ability for them to have those skills, I think, is great. So there's lots of ways to incorporate that as the girls get older. So don't be afraid to jump in and take on those cooking challenges. And reaching out to parents. You might have parents that are in some type of the food restaurant business that might be a great asset to come in and to teach the girls a skill as well. So I think
they might be pros at working on the car, right? Or,
well, the other thing that I was going to, yeah, and the other thing that I was going to add is don't forget to show girls how to fill up their car with gas.
Oh yes, that's true. Yes.
I have 3 daughters, and all of them, you know, it's something that we all take for granted. We pull into the gas station, we get out, we fill up our car, but all 3 of them were very, you know, nervous about having to fill up the car with gas. So it definitely is something that even in middle school, some of these are things that you can talk about and allow them. It's a great thing for them to be willing to hop out of the car and help a parent fill up the car with gas. So don't forget, something that we take for granted all the time is a huge challenge for a young girl who's learning how to drive. So anyway, just wanted to add my 2 cents there too.
I like that idea with the gas. It's really, I like that one.
We actually have a comment that someone is going to be doing a thinking day activity for girls to do no-cook recipes from other cultures. So I think that's kind of neat too.
Okay.
Cool.
That's
That
awesome.
reminds me of hummus.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Ellen? If so, you can type it in the question box. We have a question for Amy. Amy, are you there?
I am.
Okay, so the question is, when you get back, hold on. I wanted to know how the leader who presented is able to cover dues and
Probably membership.
membership fees, and how it works if there are girls that sell 10 boxes versus girls that sell 1,000 in the same troop.
Okay, so I actually have that in my troop. And my girls, we focus on the fact of understanding that we are one as a troop. A lot of troops do it differently, where they only allow the girls to have the money that they've earned. And that's based on each troop individually. I can't speak for other leaders, but for my troop itself, I allow my girls to understand that we are going to try to work as a team and get as much money as we can to try to get to different activities so that each girl doesn't have to pay for anything. Now, if I'm noticing, and I make this clear during the beginning of the year every year, if a girl is, making it known that they're not making an attempt to sell, if they're not going to add in, time to the cookie booths, or if we're doing another, like product event, that they're not going to support, then I'm not going to be as, fair on the fact of, spreading out everything for everyone. But the understanding is that as long as we're making the money, they're not going to have to support anything with dues. And my daughter and I usually sell, 1,600 boxes. So yeah, it would be unfair for my daughter not to get everything, and then I'm supporting another girl who's not going to put any, commitment forth towards, trying to earn money for us. But I have a great group of girls who do what they can to support the cookie booths when we have them if they can't get enough cookie sales on their own. And then we try to support them with getting additional recognitions once, like if Talia hits her 1,600 boxes or another girl hits their goal and they don't want to go any further, we just kind of divvy them up and bring them up so that everybody hits their goal. And then that way we're all working as one. But again, it is based on each troop and the troop leader themselves. So I don't know if it's, like the troop leader that you're questioning or if it's your troop and you're asking on your own end. But honestly, if you want, you're more than welcome, to give me a call or anything. I can share my information with you later, just so that you know how I do it. But again, everybody can do it differently.
Thank you,
So
Amy. Oh.
this is Kari. I just want to jump in here. That's a great question, and just want to comment that Girl Scouts of Connecticut really agrees with Amy's stance in that it is all for one and one for all. So being clear, setting your expectations with the families that you want them to participate in product sales, whether it's cookies or QSP, of course, with the understanding that there are some families that are able to, and they have access to a larger community that will support their daughter than other families do. The sort of the exception to this is as the girls get older and are working specifically for a trip, it would be something that the girls could decide that they wanted to take a portion of their sales or they're logging their booth sale hours that would support a specific trip. But as Girl Scouts of Connecticut, we believe that all girls participate in the product sale and that it's important for everyone, all families, to understand that and support their daughter however they can, and that the best way to handle that budget, because the money doesn't belong to the individual girls, it belongs to the troop, and it should be used equally. So I'm sure one of the things that Amy works on with the girls is setting a budget for the troop year, and the cost of being a Girl Scout, their membership, the cost for all of their plans, and setting that budget so that all the girls are participating in that, and then sharing that with the family so that everybody understands that in order to reach that budget, because that's truly financial literacy, letting the girls understand and participate in that, setting the budget, understanding exactly what they're going to be needing as far as funds to support their troop year, and then working as a group, as a team to participate. And I just think that's Amy's example is a great example of an additional really important part of the Girl Scout program, and that is remembering that the cookie sale is a program and really rooted in financial literacy, helping families understand and girls working together to raise the funds necessary. So I would suggest that you put that on your agenda to talk to the girls even when they're young and you're talking about how they want to spend their proceeds, but not only spending their proceeds for a trip, but also what other things do they do as Girl Scouts. Like Amy mentioned, the bronze that her girls are working on and trying to raise the funds to be able to support their bronze project. And adding the cost of membership in there as well is something that we really encourage all leaders to think about and talk about with the girls, because this is a great time, starting from when they're very young, to introduce the idea that they're going to be raising funds, working together to be able to pay for their Girl Scout experience. So thanks, Amy, for sharing that. That was great. So
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any questions right now for either Amy or Ellen? If you do, you can type it into the question box. All right. I'm going to move on to the next slide, but I can go back to questions if there are any later. So we just wanted to mention that badges are meant to teach girls life skills, and take action projects and journeys are really more focused on problem solving and leadership, and badges are really the things that teach girls life skills. So I was looking through the different badges, and I picked some badge categories that I thought were particularly good life skills for girls to learn. The healthy living and athlete badges, I think those are really important skills for girls. The cooking ones, there's actually a badge category called practical life skills, which it has life skills in the name, so it's definitely the brownie ones. The brownie one teaches like organization skills. The cadet one teaches like independence. Then there's the babysitter one and car care under that category. And there's also a ton of financial literacy badges, which are extremely important for girls to learn as well, to start young with. And then there's first aid badges as well. And really, there's so many badges that they all teach something great to girls. So I'm sure you'll be able to find useful life skills in pretty much all of them. So just a few tips about badges. So the steps to earn the badge are just suggested activities. So if you or your girls have another idea or more resources that have the same intent as the badge step, then you can change it up and you can do that instead. Badges are also, they can be done at any time. They don't have to be done in conjunction with a journey, and they don't need to be done in order to earn a journey. So they're really just fun activities you could do at any time that teach girls skills. And lastly, if a girl really wants to learn some skills that there isn't already a badge that exists that GSUSA hasn't thought of yet, she can create her own badge, and that's an option. Does anybody have any questions about that? Oh, hold on. I might have questions for Amy again. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yep, we can, Melissa.
Okay, good. Okay, so Amy, what are some specific strategies you use to sell 1,600 boxes per girl?
Okay, so I am usually available during the course of the year where I can dedicate some more time to my troop. So when it comes to, like my daughter's individual goals, or any of the girls, I mean, I have other girls that want 1,600 boxes and have been able to get really close to that as well. We do the individual initial order, and then from there we continue on with getting our goal-getter cards and filling those out and trying to get those in. And then when it comes to cookie booth, that's where I usually like bang it out and get those last minute couple hundred boxes for my girls. And I'm talking a couple hundred each. I'm not talking about a couple hundred just for the troop. So our service unit allows us to sign up for, one cookie booth at a time. And then if there's any cookie booths that are left over, we can actually opt to take additional cookie booths on. And then some service units have been very forthcoming in allowing us to take some of their cookie booths as well that were not filled by their own troops within their service unit. So I've always asked my girls, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go for it and see what happens? And I let them know that if they're, that if they're not physically there during the cookie booth, they're not going to earn any more cookies towards their rewards. So it's on them and their parent to make that decision if they want to participate or not. And when they're participating, if we sell, like 400 boxes of cookies and I had 4 girls, but not all my 4 girls were there the entire time, I do account for how long they're there and divide it by, like the amount of hours that we were there total. So that way they're each getting a fair share, because it's a little bit hard to try to account for how many cookies were sold during each time frame, because you're usually pretty busy and productive when selling cookies. But then I also open up for my daughter Facebook. I use my Facebook page and I have her create videos introducing herself, showing, like herself in her uniform, and with her little cookie thing, and she comes up with either a skit or, just like a cute little saying, and then we post it on Facebook to see how many we can generate, and we also link it to her digital cookie page. So those are my secret tricks here.
Thanks,
Amy, this is Linda. Do you know, like, roundabout the percentage of digital cookies that she's selling now? And has it gone up since she started?
Oh yeah, so when we first started, we had a really good, like, takeoff with it, but I want to say she's been able to increase her sales by like around 20% by using the digital cookie. I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be that much of an increase, but just because of the fact that you're able to touch that many more people that you normally wouldn't be around, because remember, you have a lot of friends and family that are located way out there, that are not, typically right around the corner that you can walk to, or, pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'll stop by in 15 minutes and I'll drop off the cookie for him. So having that other, like, accessibility, to get that cookie order, you might have like a friend out in California who knows somebody that wants cookies, and they get, their order through the your daughter's, cookie webpage. That helps out. I mean, it's all word of mouth as far as I'm concerned. And if you're willing to open up to the experience, then you're going to be able to see what comes of it. And you may not have anything like the first time around, but, as it goes on, you'll start seeing like how much more you can develop into it. And it's really nothing that you're doing differently. It's just how you're presenting it to the customer that you're maybe emailing. So like if it's not a friend or a family member, maybe it's like a friend of a friend. Depending on how you present it to them is what they're going to say. And somebody might say to you, oh my goodness, the price of shipping is way too much. Well, if you look at it, what you would pay for like a Cheryl's cookies or a David, a Harry and David's, or, even an Amazon package, is the same price point that we're asking for the amount of cookies that we're donating, you know, like that we're having delivered to you. And those cookies, if you have them, this is another thing I also tell people, if you order cookies online, you get them so much faster than having to wait
Yeah.
2 months from now to get them. You get them like speedy delivery. It's like a couple weeks out and you've got your cookies before anybody else. So if you really are in a cookie, you know, like fanatic and you have to have them, that's the way to go. Get them online.
So this is Kari again, and I just wanted to echo Amy's point about the shipping. So my daughters are in college in New York and California, and the cost of shipping for regular items out to them is the same as the shipping out cookies. So especially if you're sending for a holiday like for Valentine's Day or anything like that, and it's so much easier to order them and ship them than have to take them, box them yourself, and trot them over to the post office to mail them. So I just want to echo the same. If you're sending cookies or you're sending a gift to anyone anyway, the shipping is not that different for cookies. So just want to echo that. Thanks, Amy.
Welcome.
Does anybody else have any questions they want to ask right now? If so, you can just type it into the box. So just before we end today, I did want to go over some additional updates. So we're actually having a council-wide book drive for Read to Grow. So it's all through January, and troops can hold book drives, and they can reach out to friends, families, the community, and it's a good opportunity for a service project for them. So if they do decide to do it, books can be dropped off at our 4 service centers during regular business hours from January 23rd to February 3rd. And yeah, oh, and Camp Patagoncet, you can drop books off at Camp Patagoncet at Hobby Hall, the porch of Hobby Hall, which is adjacent to the parking lot. There's going to be bins located there. And if you have any other questions about the book drive, you can contact me at milies@gsofct.org. We also wanted to mention that the last day of initial order taking is February 5th. And we wanted to mention our cookie rallies that are happening at 4 malls in the area. So the Danbury Mall, Buckland Hills, Crystal, and in the mall in Meriden. And those are all going to be on Saturday, January 7th. And we have, the last thing I want to mention is a good resource we have called Tech Bridge Kits, which provide hands-on exploration of STEM activities. And you can contact Danny LaChance for more information on those. Does anybody else have any questions before we end today?
Melissa, are you collecting new books as well as gently used books?
Yes,
And
new.
what age?
Yep, new and gently used from infant all the way to high school. So big range. Does anybody else have any questions? It doesn't seem like anybody else has any questions. So our last slide is just, we'd love some feedback about this webinar. If you have the time to give us some suggestions or anything we can improve on, or let us know what you liked, you can email it to program@gsofct.org.
Melissa, if they have an idea for the last one, we need another idea, another topic for May as well. We have the inclusion topic, but one more for May.
That's right. So if you think of one more topic you'd like to hear about, just email us, and we'll pick whichever one we think is the most useful. Yeah.
Right, we'll fit in with the theme. All of the topics that we've picked are from suggestions that came from Kickoff and from a volunteer. So send us your thoughts.
All right. It doesn't look like anyone has any more questions. So, does anyone else have any comments they want to make, or do you think we can end for tonight?
Thanks, Amy and Ellen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
You too.
Yes, good night. Thank you.